Those who read this letter will be the most successful people today. I will be the one to provide you with knowledge, experience, and wealth. Most importantly, from this point forward, I will help you memorize the lessons of success in the shortest time possible. Share me with your friends so that together, we can become elite and build lasting wealth. What would you think if I told you that you could possess all the financial knowledge in the world, hold the most prestigious business degrees, and have 1,000 lucrative opportunities fall into your lap, yet still be biologically and psychologically hardwired for a life of struggle and scarcity? Imagine a man who works himself to the bone, starting one business after another, pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into every venture, only to watch his profits evaporate like a desert mirage the moment he nears success. This man is not a victim of bad luck, a poor economy, or a cruel fate. He is a prisoner of his own internal thermostat. T. Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind begins with this haunting realization, stripping away the illusion that wealth is a matter of what you do and revealing the cold, hard truth that it is entirely a matter of who you are. The narrative follows the archetypal journey of a man who was once the king of the yo-yo, a person whose bank account was a reflection of a fractured and inconsistent internal blueprint. He had the tools but lacked the foundation. The story reveals that every human being has a money and success blueprint deeply embedded in their subconscious mind, acting as a silent, invisible governor over their financial destiny. This blueprint is like the internal setting of a room's thermostat. If the thermostat is set to 20 degrees, and the windows are open to the scorching heat outside, the cooling system will eventually kick in to drag the temperature back down to its programmed setting. This is the chilling reality of the money thermostat. If your blueprint is set to struggle, no amount of effort will ever allow you to stay rich. The analysis of this psychological phenomenon introduces the process of manifestation. Thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. Most people spend their entire lives frantically trying to change their results, the fruit of the tree, without ever realizing that the fruit is created by the roots. To change the visible, you must first change the invisible. The narrative explains that our internal programming is forged during childhood through 3 primary channels: verbal programming, modeling, and specific incidents. Imagine a young girl hearing her mother scream that money is the root of all evil, or a young boy watching his father lose his temper every time a bill arrives in the mail. These moments are not just memories, they are the architects of a financial prison. The storytelling intensifies as it describes how these subconscious files dictate every decision we make as adults. We are not making rational choices, we are reacting to old, outdated scripts. The lesson learned is that until you identify and overwrite these subconscious recordings, you are destined to repeat the financial patterns of your parents or your past failures. You do not earn what you want, you earn what you are set to receive. The man who wins the lottery and loses it all within 2 years is not a victim of circumstance, he simply had more money than his internal blueprint was prepared to handle. And his subconscious worked tirelessly to bring him back to his comfort zone of poverty. The story continues to mosey into the heart of the wealth files. The 17 distinct ways that the rich think and act differently than the poor or middle class. The first and the most foundational conflict is the concept of responsibility. The narrative depicts the victim as a person who is constantly searching for someone or something to blame for their financial plight. They blame the government, the economy, their boss, or their spouse. They justify their lack of success by claiming that money isn't that important. They complain incessantly, attracting more crap into their lives like a human magnet for misfortune. In contrast, the millionaire mind operates on the principle that I create my life. The storytelling captures the psychological weight of this realization. You cannot be a victim and be wealthy at the same time. The moment you blame others, you surrender your power to change. The analysis reveals that wealth is a choice of mindset before it is a reality of currency. The lesson is that rich people play the money game to win, while poor people play the money game not to lose. One is driven by the thrill of opportunity, the other is driven by the paralyzing fear of loss. The tension in the narrative builds as we see the characters choosing their paths, one leading to the expansive horizon of possibility, and the other to the cramped, dark corner of safety and security. As the narrative flows deeper into the psychological divide, it tackles the concept of commitment. Most people want to be rich, but they are not committed to being rich. The storytelling describes the half-hearted efforts of those who are interested in wealth only as long as it doesn't require too much work, too much risk, or too much discomfort. The millionaire mind, however, is characterized by a burning desire and an absolute, unyielding commitment. It is the story of the explorer who burns his ships upon reaching the shore, leaving no option but to conquer or perish. The analysis suggests that the universe has a way of helping those who are truly committed, bringing them people, resources, and luck that seem like miracles to the casual observer. The lesson learned is that I am committed to being rich is vastly different from I want to be rich. One is a wish, the other is a command to the subconscious. The intensity of the script escalates as it explores the size of one's thinking. Rich people think big, they aim to provide value to thousands, even millions of people. Poor people think small, terrified that if they reach for too much, they will lose what little they have. This is the law of income. You will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the market. Small thinking leads to small actions, which lead to small results. To have a millionaire mind, one must expand their vision and accept the responsibility of greatness. The story then pivots to the vibrational alignment of success. A staggering realization is presented: you cannot become what you resent. The narrative describes the poor and middle-class habit of resenting the rich, viewing them as greedy, corrupt, or lucky. The storytelling captures the toxic nature of this envy, showing how it acts as a mental poison that prevents the very success the individual claims to desire. If you believe rich people are bad, your subconscious will ensure you stay poor so that you can remain good. The millionaire mind, conversely, admires and blesses other successful people. They see a mansion or a luxury car not as an insult to their own lack, but as a proof of concept that wealth is possible. The analysis reveals that your attitude toward others' success is a direct indicator of your own potential. The lesson is to practice blessing that which you want. If you see someone with a beautiful family, bless them. If you see someone with a thriving business, bless them. By doing so, you are signaling to your subconscious that you are ready and willing to receive similar abundance. The narrative intensity builds as it challenges the listener to purge their heart of bitterness and replace it with the curiosity and admiration of a student. As we move toward the mechanics of the mind, the storytelling explores how the rich focus on opportunities while the poor focus on obstacles. Imagine two people looking at the same business venture. One sees the potential for profit, the chance to learn, and the path to freedom. The other sees the risk of failure, the taxes, the competition, and the hard work. The millionaire mind is not naive. They acknowledge the obstacles, but they do not dwell on them. They get ready, fire, aim. They take action while others are still preparing to get ready. The analysis suggests that fortune favors the bold because the bold are the only ones in motion. The lesson is that focus is a creative power. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, you will have more problems. If you focus on opportunities, you will have more opportunities. This segment of the story is an invitation to shift your gaze from the ground to the stars, to stop looking for reasons why things won't work and start looking for ways to make them work. The tension remains as the narrative prepares to move into the more spiritual and habitual side of wealth, exploring how the millionaire mind manages its energy, its money, and its associations. We are standing at the threshold of a total life overhaul, where the old, impoverished self must die to make room for the billionaire within. The story continues as we explore the associations of the wealthy, the realization that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and the brutal truth that if you want to fly with the eagles, you cannot keep swimming with the ducks. Every character in this drama, from the broke laborer to the corporate mogul, is a reflection of the files they have chosen to keep in their internal cabinet. The journey toward a millionaire mind is a war against the comfort of the familiar, a relentless pursuit of a higher frequency where wealth is not just an accident, but an inevitability. The narrative plunges deeper into the psychological architecture of abundance, confronting the uncomfortable truth that we are social chameleons, perpetually adapting to the financial temperatures of those around us. Imagine standing in a room filled with people who are constantly complaining about the high cost of living, the unfairness of the tax system, and the greed of the successful. This environment acts as a low-frequency hum that slowly recalibrates your own internal blueprint towards scarcity. T. Harv Eker's narrative describes the brutal necessity of energy management. Rich people associate with positive, successful people, while poor people associate with negative or unsuccessful people. The storytelling captures the emotional weight of this transition, the painful moment when an aspiring achiever realizes they must distance themselves from the energy vampires of their past. Even if those people are lifelong friends or family members. It is not about judgment, it is about survival. If you want to fly with the eagles, you simply cannot keep swimming with the ducks. The analysis reveals that energy is contagious. If you hang around people who are broke and complaining, you will eventually start thinking, talking, and acting like them. The lesson learned is that you must treat your associations as a business decision. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and a millionaire mind requires an inner circle that reflects the future you desire, not the past you are trying to escape. The story then pivots to the concept of self-promotion, a hurdle that stops thousands of talented individuals in their tracks. The narrative depicts the modesty trap, the belief that if I'm good enough, the world will find me. Eker shatters this illusion, revealing that rich people are almost always excellent promoters. They are willing to promote their products, their services, and their ideas with passion and enthusiasm. In contrast, poor people often view promotion and sales as beneath them or lazy. The storytelling captures the tragic irony of the brilliant artist or the gifted inventor who dies in poverty because they were too proud to share their value with the world. The analysis suggests that a distaste for promotion is often a sign of low self-esteem, a fear that what you have to offer isn't actually worth much. The lesson is that if you truly believe in what you have to offer, it is your moral obligation to let as many people as possible know about it. Promotion is not about ego, it is about service. To have a millionaire mind, you must be a shining light for your own value, leading others toward the solution you provide. The psychological intensity of the script escalates as it tackles the size of the problem. Imagine a man standing before a challenge, a business failure, a legal dispute, or a financial setback. To a level 2 person, a level 5 problem looks like a mountain. They feel overwhelmed, paralyzed, and defeated. But to a level 10 person, that same level 5 problem is a mere pebble in their shoe. The narrative reveals that the secret to success is not to try and avoid or get rid of your problems, but to grow yourself so that you are bigger than any problem. The storytelling describes the internal expansion of the millionaire mind, a person who focuses on goals rather than obstacles. The analysis teaches us that the size of the problem is never the issue, it is always the size of the person. When you stop complaining about how hard the world is and start focusing on how strong you can become, the world begins to shrink in comparison to your will. The lesson is that wealth is a byproduct of personal growth. You will only ever be as rich as you are big on the inside. As the narrative flows into the mechanics of receiving, it uncovers a deeply rooted cultural sickness, the unworthy complex. The storytelling describes how most people are bad receivers. They feel guilty when they receive a compliment, a gift, or a large sum of money. They have been conditioned to believe that it is better to give than to receive. Eker corrects this imbalance with a staggering logical truth: for every giver, there must be a receiver. If you refuse to receive, you are denying the giver the joy of giving. The analysis suggests that the universe is like a giant vending machine. If you are not willing to receive your share, it will simply go to someone else who is. The lesson learned is that you must become totally open and willing to receive huge amounts of money and abundance. You must tell the universe, I am a great receiver. I am open and willing to receive massive amounts of money into my life. By doing so, you overwrite the old unworthy file and prepare your internal container to hold the wealth you are working for. The story then addresses the pay for results versus pay for time conflict, a defining boundary between the middle class and the wealthy. The narrative depicts the safety of the steady paycheck, a comfort that the poor dad loves but the rich dad fears. Rich people choose to be paid based on results, they prefer commissions, percentages, or profit sharing. They believe in themselves and their ability to produce. Poor people choose to be paid based on time. They want the security of a salary. The storytelling captures the ceiling that a salary places on a human life, the realization that when you trade time for money, you are trading a finite resource for a finite reward. The analysis reveals that the wealthy own the systems, while the poor are parts of the system. The lesson is that you should never have a ceiling on your income. To build a millionaire mind, you must eventually transition into a world where your income is linked to the value you create, not the hours you clock. This is the path to true leverage and infinite wealth. The narrative intensity builds as it introduces the both versus either/or mindset. Imagine a person believing they have to choose between being rich and being a good person, or between being successful and having a happy family life. This scarcity thinking is the hallmark of the poor mind. The storytelling describes the expansive both mentality of the wealthy. They ask, how can I have both? They refuse to accept the compromise that society tries to force upon them. The analysis suggests that the world is a place of abundance, and the only limitations are the ones in our own imagination. The lesson is that you don't have to sacrifice your soul for your bank account. You can be kind, spiritual, and loving, and be filthy rich at the same time. This segment of the story is a liberation from the binary trap, encouraging the listener to demand everything life has to offer. As we reach the habitual side of wealth, the storytelling explores the money management system that separates the masters from the slaves. The narrative debunks the myth that I'll start managing my money when I have a lot of it. This is like an overweight person saying, I'll start exercising when I lose 20 pounds. Ika introduces the 6 jars system, a visceral method of telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. The storytelling captures the discipline of the financial freedom account, a jar that is never, ever spent, only invested to create golden eggs. The analysis reveals that the habit of managing your money is more important than the amount. Even if you only have $1, you must manage 10 cents of it. The lesson is that when you show the universe you can handle what you have, you will get more. If you cannot manage a small amount, you will never be trusted with a fortune. The tension remains as the narrative prepares to move into the final battle, the transition from active income to passive income, and the ultimate test of acting in spite of fear. We are standing at the peak of the mountain, looking down at the old habits that once felt like home but now feel like a cage. The story continues as we explore the net worth versus working income distinction and the realization that the true measure of wealth is not how much you make, but how much your assets make for you. Every character in this story is now faced with a choice, to go back to the safety of the paycheck or to step into the vortex of the investor. The journey toward a millionaire mind is nearing its conclusion. But the hardest part is yet to come, the part where the theory must become bone-deep action, and the thermostat must be permanently locked at a new scorching. The final movement of this psychological rebellion brings us to the ultimate confrontation between the spirit and the body, the battle against the paralyzing ghost of fear. Imagine standing at the edge of a massive, life-altering decision, a business launch, a bold investment, or a radical career shift. Every fiber of your being is screaming for you to retreat to the safety of the known. This is the moment where the millionaire mind is truly forged. T. Harv Eker's narrative reaches its crescendo by shattering the myth that successful people are fearless. On the contrary, the rich feel the same gut-wrenching terror as everyone else. The difference is that they act in spite of fear. The storytelling depicts the comfort zone as a small, suffocating circle that represents your current wealth. If you only do what is easy, life will be hard. But if you are willing to do what is hard, life will become easy. The analysis of this stage reveals that your comfort zone is equal to your wealth zone. To expand your bank account, you must first expand your willingness to be uncomfortable. The lesson learned is that action is the bridge between the inner world and the outer world. Without it, the wealth files are merely beautiful dreams. To have a millionaire mind, you must train your brain to be bigger than your fear. Choosing the courage of the lion over the security of the sheep. The story then pivots to the vital distinction between working income and net worth. The narrative exposes the middle-class trap of focusing solely on the paycheck, We see the character of the high earner who spends every dollar on a lavish lifestyle, possessing a high income but zero net worth, a person who is one job loss away from total ruin. The millionaire mind, however, focuses on the 4 pillars of net worth: income, savings, investments, and simplification. The storytelling captures the hidden power of simplification, the act of consciously lowering your cost of living so that you have more capital to feed your financial freedom account. The analysis suggests that the true measure of wealth is not what you earn, but what you keep and how effectively you put that money to work. The lesson is that you must become a money master rather than a money slave. This involves shifting from active income, trading your time for money, to passive income, having your money or a business work for you. The goal of the millionaire mind is to reach the crossover point, where the income from your investments exceeds the cost of your lifestyle. At that moment, you are finally, truly free. As the narrative flows toward its conclusion, it addresses the ultimate habit, constant learning and growth. The storytelling describes the I know that syndrome, the arrogant belief of the unsuccessful that they already have all the answers. Ika contrasts this with the success student mentality of the wealthy. Rich people are constantly reading, attending seminars, and hiring coaches. They realize that if you are not growing, you are dying. The analysis reveals that the fastest way to get rich and stay rich is to work on yourself. If you develop yourself into a level 10 person, you will naturally attract level 10 wealth. The lesson learned is that your income can grow only to the extent that you do. Wealth is not something you get, it is something you become. The script intensifies as it challenges the listener to make a choice. Will you remain the same person you were at the beginning of this story? Or will you commit to the relentless evolution required to hold a millionaire mind? The tension is no longer about the money, it is about the transformation of the soul. The core message and meaning Vika intends to convey is that your external financial reality is merely a printout of your internal mental programming. He argues that wealth is a psychological game played in the theater of the subconscious, and that until you rewrite your money blueprint, no external strategy will ever work. The book is a manifesto for internal engineering, teaching us that we must take absolute responsibility for our financial temperature. It reveals that the path to millions is paved with the courage to dismantle old, inherited beliefs about unworthiness and scarcity, replacing them with a new, aggressive frequency of abundance. The story ends with a powerful call to action, to stop being a victim of your past and start being the architect of your future. Your wealth will grow only to the extent that you are willing to outgrow your old self.